Hey everybody, welcome back. Um, so today I don't want to focus on what I've done and what I'm going to do. I actually um, want to talk about my depression in general. I will tell you what I have done so far today, and that's do some dishes and clean my toilet and pick up my bathroom floor and clean up my kitchen floor because the kids had it a mess. But that's a win, honestly. That's a lot for me. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I do want to talk about my depression, or rather my journey with depression, because I feel like I came on here and I was like, guys, I'm depressed. I need help. Without giving you any sort of background or context. Not that any of you asked for it, because you didn't. You were very supportive of everything without the context. But I feel like I want to talk about it for my benefit. So I have suffered from depression for years, and it took me a long time to realize that I was suffering from depression. So I would say my first real bout with depression was back in 2014. Um, and there were events that triggered this, and I'm not gonna say I'd never been depressed before, because it happens to all of us, but that was my first major depression. Um, and so I know I keep looking down. It's hard for me to tell a story while making eye contact. So in 2014, in June of 2014 specifically, my daddy passed away, and I have a complicated parentage. So it was not my biological father, who's very much alive and watching this. Hi, Dad. It was my dad that raised me, not has raised me, but he raised me. And I didn't meet my biological father till I was 11, I think. So before that point, I thought he was my biological father, to be honest, but that's a story for another time. But anyways, he passed away, and I was very much a daddy's girl. And the memory is still hard for me, so excuse me if I get a little emotional with this, but I was very much a daddy's girl, and I think I was the only one in denial that he was actually dying. I didn't want to believe that, in my head he was my superhero and he could overcome everything, and he didn't. And I was not okay. Um, okay, anyways, moving on. So there were other events that happened right around that time. Pretty well. I'm not gonna say immediately following his death, but pretty close. Um, my relationship at the time ended. My relationship with my kid's father ended due to extreme circumstances, and I lost some people that were close to me. I've since, you know, made up with one of them, and I'm not going to give names, and I'm not going to tell you the circumstances. It doesn't matter. Um, but anyways, all of that contributed to this feeling of hopelessness, to this feeling that everything's falling apart. I'm never going to be okay again. My entire life has been turned upside down. I am not okay. I didn't want to parent. Um, Trayson, I think, Trayson was 3 at the time. Kristen was 1. Um, and it's not that I didn't want to be a parent. I didn't have it in me to do what these kids needed me to do for them. I didn't want to. I didn't want that demand. I didn't want to have to focus on these two little lives when I am just not okay. You know what I mean? I can't even do for me, let alone for other people. Luckily, I had a great support system that helped me through that. And it is, I'm going to say it is one of my regrets as a parent. And I try very hard as a human in general not to have regrets. because our experiences and our actions make us who we are. So everything is a learning experience. And including that situation, because now I know to never let myself get to that level of hopelessness. Like when it's happening, it's okay to ask for help, although I don't like to. But it did teach me that if I know I'm not okay, if I know I'm not feeling okay, I need to reach out to somebody, and get some encouragement, get some help, because I never want to get to the level that I was at where I didn't want to do for my kids. Luckily, they were both young enough that they don't remember that time period, but I remember, and I remember what I felt as a parent. But I digress. Anyway, so during that time period, I very nearly became an alcoholic. Luckily, I realized before it was too late that, this was becoming a daily occurrence for me. This was becoming a problem. And probably around the time that I debated with myself on whether or not I should put liquor in my coffee first thing in the morning was when it was like, hey, Tracy, you can't go down this road. This is not the road. This is not your path. This is not what you need to do. So I didn't become an alcoholic, but I very nearly did. But anyways, so I was in a really bad depression, and I mean, I was not okay. I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like I wasn't in control of my actions. I was going insane. I even went to the emergency room and had them do a psychiatric evaluation on me because I was not okay. I was not okay. I was doing things that in my mind I knew I shouldn't be doing, but it felt like it was out of my control. It was in my control. It was me. But, I would be like, okay, I'm not going to do that. That is not the right thing to do. And next thing you know, here I am doing it. And it was just crazy. I was like, am I losing my mind? Why am I not in control of my actions? Why is me telling myself not to do this enough? But, anyways, probably by far the hardest depression I've ever suffered from. And, I thought it was just because of the circumstances. It was just because of everything. Like, my whole life fell apart at the same time. And I remember one time when that depression broke, however temporary. I remember the moment. I remember because I literally cried. I was so happy. Because it felt like doom and rain and hopelessness, and I was never going to be okay again, and I have failed at everything, and I wasn't near as strong as everybody told me I was, and I was not okay. And then, it lifted, and it felt like the rain had stopped, and the sun was shining, and there was rainbows, and there were clouds, and I was okay, and I was going to be okay, and it felt phenomenal to not feel bad. But anyway, so, eventually, gradually, over time, I came out of that depression and I started living a normal life again. And I thought it was a one-time deal. I mean, it happens. There were circumstances that I couldn't control that led me to feeling that way. And, I moved on with my life. And then, probably a year and a half ago, is when I realized that I suffer with depression. It wasn't a one-time deal. That was just the hardest I've ever had it, but it wasn't a one-time deal. And I realized this because I have a journal that I write in. Okay, Chrislyn came in with an issue. So I think I was saying that, so I have a journey. I have a journey. But I have a journal, or a notebook, rather, that I write in. And I've done this since I was a kid. And it's not anything I write in daily. It's not something I write in once a week. It's just something I write in when I feel like it. And so about a year and a half ago, I decided to read through this journal. Not even a year and a half ago. Probably maybe right at a year ago now, a little less than a year, I decided to read through this journal. And I read it from the beginning. I was just curious, what have I written? Because this journal spans probably for the past 3 years, since like 2017. And so I got to reading it. And the more I read, the more shocked I was, I guess, because it occurred to me that I only write in this journal when I'm upset. I only write in this journal when I'm feeling hopeless and I'm not okay. And not all of the entries were that way. Some of them were happy moments, but the majority of them were, like, out of all of the entries in there, and I'm not even going to pretend to know how many are in there, but I think only 1 or 2 of them were happy moments. And it occurred to me that that's depression. That I was depressed when I made these journal entries. Now I call that journal my depression journal, and if I'm starting to feel hopeless, I pick it up and I write, because it helps me to clear my thoughts. It's like there's something very cleansing about getting all out of your head and onto paper. I guess the same way that these videos are kind of cleansing for me. So I guess this is technically my depression journal. But anyways, so at that time, that's when I realized that this is a problem. This is not, it wasn't a one-time deal. It's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing that I need help with. I need to talk to somebody. And I had already been seeing a therapist, just not in that capacity. We started therapy with Trayson first, and then I realized that it would benefit me to do therapy on my own. But then when I realized that I suffered from depression, which my therapist probably knew this before I did, but I really addressed it with her, because even though I have a therapist, I'm very closed off with her. I mean, probably a month ago was the first time I even opened up about my childhood and how I felt about it. And I'm not getting into that here. It was just not the easiest. But she has told me for probably 2 years now that I smile through the pain. I don't allow myself to feel. And she's correct. I don't allow myself to feel because I feel like I don't have time for that. I feel like it doesn't benefit my life to stop to feel. You know what I mean? I allow myself to feel happy. I allow myself to have fun. But I don't allow myself to feel the losses or feel the sadness. I have to keep moving. I have to keep pushing. I have to do what is expected of me as a person, as a parent, as an employee. I don't have time to stop and feel. I don't have time to break down. I don't have time for that. And that's just how I feel. So she's working on me with feeling these feelings, because it's okay to feel them. You just can't get lost in them. And anyways, so I discussed that with her, and we still work on that, as well as my anxiety, because my anxiety fuels my depression. But since I don't want to say, I'm not going to give you a whole update on my therapy and my treatment regimen, but depression is very real for me. Depression is something that I used to think was within people's control. My mother suffers from depression, and she has for my entire life, as far as I know, and I always thought, she's just feeling sorry for herself. She doesn't want to do anything to fix it. You can pull yourself out of this. You're fine. And ever since that one occasion back in 2014, that's when I realized, man, this is very real, and this is very real for a lot of people. And I was still young, so don't judge me, because I thought that people were just doing this to themselves. Um, we're not going to talk about how I was in 2014, but I was still young enough to get that impression. And anyways, but before that, I thought, man, you can control this. You're just feeling sorry for yourself. You're having a pity party. You don't want to do what it takes to feel better. And now I realize that sometimes you can't. It don't matter what you tell yourself. It don't matter what you do to try to break it. You can't. Like, you can't. And it's a very awful feeling. It's terrible. And even now, I'm suffering with the depression. I'm depressed now, but I'm not so depressed in this moment that I can't function. I was so depressed in that first video that I couldn't function, and I didn't feel like it was going to be okay. I knew it was going to be okay because I've been there before, but I didn't feel like it. And I reached out for help. And I took to YouTube and Facebook to reach out to help because I didn't feel like I had the support system, and I didn't want to talk to any one individual. I couldn't pinpoint, oh, I'm going to call my mom and I'm going to tell her how I feel and I'm going to feel better at the end of it. And I didn't have the words to express how I felt right in that moment. And I didn't, I felt lost and I felt hopeless. And by the way, I'm very emotional, always, not just in depression. But anyways, that's what that was, and that's been my journey with depression so far. And I am working on it, and I'm getting through it, and I appreciate everybody. And I mean, I literally appreciate every single comment. I appreciate every single text message, every single Facebook message, every single phone call. I appreciate every person that has reached out, even if it was just a comment to say, hey, it's gonna be okay. Because, yesterday, for instance, I wasn't doing okay. And I said that yesterday, and I'm only sort of okay today. But and then somebody reached out to me, and it was nothing simple. It was just, hey, I see you, and I understand, and you're okay. And that was enough because there was somebody. I'm sorry, I have no idea why I'm crying uncontrollably, but there was somebody that cared. There was somebody that took the time to say, hey, you might not feel okay right now, but you're gonna be okay. And if you don't feel like you're gonna be okay, call me. And I appreciate that, because I don't always feel like I'm gonna be okay. And no, I don't tend to call people when I feel like I'm not gonna be okay, because what am I really gonna say? I'm not okay. I can't tell you why I'm not okay, but I'm not okay. And I have done that before, but it's not really my style. So if I don't respond to a comment or I don't respond to a text message, I'm not ignoring you. You've helped, but I just don't know what to say in the moment. But anyways, that's been my journey with depression, the shortened version of it, and it's overwhelming to me how many people have taken the time to reach out to me, to let me know they care, and to let me know that they are here for me. And I appreciate it more than I can say. And I'm so sorry, I'm so emotional. But it's a mix of that hopeless feeling and a happy feeling, because my support system is obviously bigger than I ever realized it would. It is, whatever I'm trying to say. And You know, I think I said at one point before that in that moment, or not even in that moment, it's easy. It's so easy to not realize that there are so many people who care about you. It's easy to feel alone, and it's easy to feel like, you know, you're on your own and there's nobody here to help you, and it doesn't matter how you feel about it. It doesn't matter. Like, that's kind of my mindset. It doesn't matter how I feel. I have to do this, and I'm in this alone, and if I don't do it, who's going to? You know, my mom reached out, me and my mother were talking one day, and she said, "Are you going to be okay?" And I asked her, "Are there any other options?" And that's honestly how I feel. There's no other options but for me to be okay. I don't have time to stop and not be okay for a minute, because there are people that count on me. There are specifically 2 little children that count on me. And I can't show them that I'm not okay. You know, I can't show them that mommy has broken. Therefore, I can't break. And that's just what it is. So anyways, thank you very much for watching this horrible video. And, well, okay, it wasn't horrible, but this very emotional video, and I'm gonna try to cry less from now on. I just wanted to share a little bit of myself that I don't think I've ever shared with anybody, not even my mother. I don't even think I've been this honest with my therapist. But you all have been here, and you all have cheered me on day in and day out, and you all have told me it's okay when I'm not getting everything accomplished that I want to get. And so I feel like you all deserve a little piece of me, and you all deserve me to be honest. And for being honest with myself, or with each other, I kind of have selfish reasons for doing this, because it helps me to tell this story. It helps me to put it out there, because it's not just in here. It's not festering inside my head. So, okay, now that we've cried for the day, I'll see you all tomorrow.